Good morning, folks. I apologize for showing up late. I was reading a really great article. I'm a history nut. I'm a history nut. I am. I'll admit it. I'm not one of the people that slept through history class. A really great article about one of the stories we were talking about today. I'm gonna Rachel Maddow another story for you. We're gonna go back into the Wayback Machine and talk about how it all started. But I do apologize for being late. Sincerely, your time is valuable to me, and I'm sorry. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Get your coffee, get your pen and paper. Let's do this. Folks, we're going to start out with a video today. I wanted to explain a little bit about what was going on with the shutdowns and whatever, but Hakeem Jeffries, the next Speaker of the House after the 2024 elections, just did an amazing job. The full video is 6 minutes long. We're not going to do the whole video, but I've cut into it, and let's take a look at what old Hakeem Jeffries has to say about the government shutdown.
Essential in helping to keep America moving forward in the right direction. Why are we even in this situation? It's because the extreme MAGA Republicans are determined to jam their radical right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. We've seen this done before. Republicans shut down the government partially twice in the 1990s. Why? Because they wanted to end Medicaid as we know it. Bill Clinton and Democrats to the rescue to stop that from happening. Same group of people, different version in 2013, shut the government down for 14 days. Why? Again, jam their extreme right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. In that instance, they wanted President Obama to repeal his signature legislative accomplishment, the Affordable Care Act, and throw 20 million people or so off the rolls and deprive them of health care, like we were going to agree to that ransom note. Once again, Democrats to the rescue. 2018 into 19, same thing. They shut the government down for 35 days. By the way, when the government shutdown began, Donald Trump was president. Republicans controlled the House and the Senate. In December of 2018, they shut themselves down. That's how much it's in their DNA. That time, what was the extreme ransom note? We want you to waste billions of dollars of taxpayer money to fund Trump's ineffective medieval border wall. Once again, we held firm, refused to pay their ransom note, and we were able to get the government reopened. Why are we going down this road again? We know how it's going to end. We're not paying a ransom note so you can jam your extreme ideology down the throats of the American people and hurt everyday Americans. We never have, and we never will.
Outstanding. I saw that video and I said, okay, just shut up and step out of the way. This is a master class in what the Republicans are doing, why they're doing it. It's just a matter of record. Their speeches are on record. It's congressional record, folks. There's no argument to it. The first shutdown, they wanted to kill Medicare and Social Security. They're on the record giving the speeches. They are. They told us all to our faces what they wanted to do. The second shutdown, they wanted to kill Obamacare. Healthcare access for the folks that are having the hardest time securing it. You know, those exchanges are still being used today. I still know people that are buying insurance on those exchanges, but will vehemently argue with you that it's not Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act, man. It's not Obamacare. I've had these discussions. I mean, just immediate migraine. But yeah, and what was the last time they tried to shut down the government? To build the wall? To build that stupid, idiotic, nonsensical, doesn't work, fell down border wall. You know, I mean, it wasn't to fund the bills that we Democrats were trying to put forward. You know what's better than a border wall? You know, I'm gonna run off into left field for a second. Hang with me. I will get back on topic, I promise. But talking about this border wall, what's so stupid about it? Did you know that Mexican drug cartels don't import drugs into this country? That's a fact. That the DEA, all of the court records, the Cato Institute did a great job crunching the numbers. Do you know that it is not the Mexican drug cartels nor their employees that run drugs into our country? Now that this stupid border wall has been brought back up. And you know, you get Farty Marge talking about going to war with Mexico, attacking these drug cartels in Mexico. No, the people that import drugs into this country are Americans. They are. They're Americans. White supremacist motorcycle gangs. You've got American gangs like the LA Kings that are organized drug smugglers. The smugglers are American. They go to Mexico, they buy their product. Sometimes they pay for their product with American guns that we're importing into Mexico. You know, the cartel isn't even importing the guns that they use. Americans are muling them down to Mexico. And then you got Farty Marge, the elevator flatulator, talking about she wants to send special forces in and lob missiles into the country of Mexico over something that they're not even doing to us. It's Americans that mule these drugs, and they don't do it in the desert where they want to build this idiotic wall. They don't. That's the stupidest way in the world to mule drugs. Americans go down across the border, they buy the drugs, they wrap it to conceal the smell so the dogs don't hit on their vehicles, and they ship it up in trucks, they ship it up in cars, they have people walk across the border with it in their backpacks. Yeah, it's just a fact. And the Republicans want to build a medieval wall. Well said, Hakeem. Speaker Jeffries. Might as well just start calling him Speaker Jeffries now. They want to build an idiotic wall. What did we Democrats want to do? We said, okay, you really want to crack down on illegal immigration? Let us do this. Let us do these things. Let us beef up the consulates in the countries from which these people come. But let me back up before I go there. Let me back up. Do you remember those people that made the news not too long ago that were killed in Mexico? No, they were killed because The Mexican drug cartels thought they were the Haitian drug cartels that are trying to take over in Mexico. They're trying to be the vendors selling the drugs to the Americans that are muling them back and forth and selling them within their own drug distribution networks that you're buying, by the way. You're buying the product. The cartels are just manufacturing it. That's what they're doing. That's their bit in this, where their money comes from. They manufacture the drugs, but you're buying them. Our citizens are muling. So the Democrats said, okay, look, you want to talk about immigration? We can fix immigration. One, let us beef up our consulates in the countries where we know the most immigrants come from, so that those people can go to our consulates, and we can have the technology there, really beefed up technology and personnel, so that we can do background checks there before they even try to come here. We can do the background checks there. We can flag them as to someone that we would never let into this country if they were a bad person. Never under any circumstances let this person into our country. We could do that there. But the Republicans are like, no, we're not funding that. And when they wanted to build their wall, the Democrats said, look, we've got way better technology. This isn't the Middle Ages, man. We have seismic monitors. You know what a seismic monitor is? You know, you've heard about them as far as earthquakes are concerned, but you know, they have much greater uses. Um, you know, folks that are environmentalists and you've got the advocates, animal rights advocates. They've been using seismic monitors for years, folks, for decades, to track animals in the desert. You know, so they can go check and see on the status of these animals and how well they're doing, how many there are, and they can differentiate between what kind of animal by their footsteps, including human animals. We have advanced seismic monitors that we can place all along the border that'll communicate with satellites and data straight to law enforcement. They could tell you if somebody's crossing the border, how fast they're walking, where they're walking, the direction they're walking, and how far they've gotten. And yeah, they can tell that Mozart, I appreciate you saying it, 30 to 40 feral hogs. Feral hogs are not are quadrupeds. They walk on four legs. They've got cloven hooves. This technology can easily tell the difference between a bipedal person, you know, unless suddenly, let's say a massive group of chimpanzees or gorillas build boats in Africa, travel to our southern border, and decide to sneak across our southern border. They can tell the difference between what's walking and what's not. That's a joke, of course. That's a joke, of course. Kitty K says they didn't want to fix it because they want to run on it every time. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to look up one of my own videos that I posted the other day that I caught a lot of hell about from the left. ET says that and dark money funding the caravans and the media coverage of them. Thank you. I'm gonna bring my own video up about that. Give me 1 second. Now that I've taken this left turn, we might as well take, just the entire left turn and jump on another freeway for a second. Hold on. Hold on. Let me start it from the beginning. All right, I found it. Genius to figure out that one of the right-wing billionaire frat boys are funding these surges down at the border. They're receiving detailed instructions. The people, the immigrants, are receiving detailed instructions on where to go, where to cross. They're getting it's coordinated, and the corporate news media is part of the conspiracy. They are. And when the RICO charges come, I hope you know, corporate media, I hope you know that not knowing the entire conspiracy, top to bottom, is no defense in court. You are just as culpable as the right wing jerk off that is funding the coyotes across the border to herd these people across every time the Republicans get in trouble. So, yeah, I caught a lot of hell for that from the left. They're like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. We had a huge number of Haitian immigrants go to Mexico to try to cross our southern border. They had directions and maps all on their phones to show up at a certain spot. And guess who was waiting for them when they got there at the time they were told to get there? Fox News. Fox News was sitting there with a camera crew to cover it. And people were like, oh, well, that's conspiracy. You can't say that, Paul. The hell I can't. If you tell me I can't say that this isn't a conspiracy that is funded by right-wing billionaire frat boys, then let's make a bet. What do you say? I'll go find a book in Las Vegas so it'll be legal, and we'll set this up so that everybody that believes this isn't a conspiracy can bet against me 10 grand a pop that a caravan will show up at the border right before the next election. Bet against me. I would love to take your money. But yeah, I don't want to get too far off because of what Hakeem Jeffries is. We're talking about the shutdown, folks. We're talking about the shutdown. What do they want this time? They want us to defund our support of Ukraine. They want us to support our our support of Ukraine. And I got to tell you, thank you. Greg Watkins says, I love that short, the Texas Paul. Get on the rapture area. Y'all want to see that one? I'll put that one up too. I'll put since we've taken a left turn already, we might as well just keep talking about. I promise I will get back on the shutdown, but yeah, I'll share that one also. 1 second. Takes me a second because I've got everything laid out and I don't want to screw it up. Screw up all the information that I wanted to show you today. It's Sunday. We're going to run a little long today. I apologize. We are. Here's a little funny clip for you. Make you smile. Oh, that ain't it. There we go. Man, what happened? The rapture was supposed to be. Damn it. Hold on. I hate the way Threads, they need a real, I wish y'all would complain with me on Threads. They need a real video player where you can actually control what's being said. Here we go. Let me. Got to jump through hoops like a circus clown to get a Threads video up. They really need to fix this. I'm a big fan of Threads, but this is. Yeah. Hey, man. God, this is Paul. What happened? The rapture was supposed to be today, man. All these evangelical right-wing jackholes were supposed to disappear today. What do you mean it did happen? They're still here. Oh, oh. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Damn. They got this ball. Yeah, man. What happened? The rapture was supposed to be today, man. All these evangelical right wing jackholes were supposed to disappear today. What do you mean it did happen? They're still here. Oh, oh. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Damn. I'm telling you, you want to have fun with your personal evangelical? Run up and tell them, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." When they're like, "What are you talking about?" I say, "You didn't hear the news? Millions of people have been vanished. They're saying that the rapture was real. It really happened." And then just step back and watch it happen. Yeah, again, the crazies are saying the rapture again. You know how many of these things I've survived? Oh my god. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start a service for all these nutballs. They believe such crazy stuff. Might as well, right? You know, charge them like $10 a year for insurance. If you get raptured, I'll come take care of your pet. You didn't think about your pet, did you? You ain't gonna be here. Somebody's got to watch it. I'm not gonna get raptured for. Oh, don't now none of y'all go do that. Okay, that would be a scam. Don't go do that. But anyways, we're talking about the government shutdown, and it's important, folks. They want us to defund Ukraine. And there are psyops going on right now. Right now. You are getting a front row seat to a beautiful psyop. You're going to hear about this all over from your right-wing nutballs. And I want you to be aware of it. I want you to have the background information behind it because they're idiots. This happened for real. It happened, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. Anthony Rota in is the Speaker of the House, the Speaker of the Parliament, and he is an ally of Justin Trudeau's. And Justin Trudeau just hosted Volodymyr Zelensky. And you remember the Russians saying the reason that they were invading Ukraine was to denazify it. Well, we had Zelensky addressing Parliament in Canada. And what happened was this. Let me show you the introduction, show you the video so that you can know what it really did happen. Here we go.
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also
Pay attention
one for
to this
this
guy.
man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War. Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War. Zelensky's
Okay, you know how when we have like State of the Union speeches and any of the speeches and joint sessions of Congress, this, that, and the other, they always have guests there. Well, somebody told Anthony Rota it would be a good idea to invite Yaroslav Herka, that old man I just showed you, right? So Zelensky gives an amazing speech, lots of standing ovations. Well, this guy, Yaroslav Hooker, got a standing O because he was introduced that way. He's a 98-year-old man who was in the Ukrainian First Division that fought against the Soviets for independence. Now, wouldn't you stand up and applaud? Yay! 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 Well, now here's the rest of the story. This was a psyop. Somebody introduced this guy, and I've got to call in to Anthony Rota's office to find out who suggested inviting this individual, because the second this happened, social media, Russian media, if you Google the man, Yaroslav Hoka, you Google the guy, they're applauding, they've all got one story. And it's real, but it's a psyop. And this is how the FSB works. This is a beautiful psyop because it's true. The 1st Ukrainian Division were freedom fighters fighting the Soviets in World War II. Who was our ally in World War II? Who were our allies? You had the British. We were actually their allies. We weren't the first in. It was the British, the French, then the rest of Europe that wanted to be free. Finland put up huge resistance against the Soviets, but who the hell was fighting the Soviets in World War II? Bingo. Diz Liz says he's a Nazi? Yeah. The 1st Ukrainian Division was not born as the 1st Ukrainian Division. They were freedom fighters within Ukraine that Nazi Germany adopted, recruited, because their interests align. What the hell is a Nazi? Because the 1st Ukrainian Division, before it was the 1st Ukrainian Division, was the Galician Division, the 14th Grenadiers Waffen SS Division, before it became the 1st Ukrainian Division. That's true. That 98-year-old man they were just applauding is a frickin' Nazi. But that's not how he was introduced to you or me or to Rota or anybody else, right? He was a Ukrainian freedom fighter. And he didn't speak. Stonechild Creation says, while inviting him to speak in Parliament, no. Hunker didn't speak in Parliament. He was one of those people that you see during those joint session speeches where they do it here too. They'll have somebody and they'll tell a story about them, and they'll point to him in the back row, and the person will stand up, and everybody will give him a clap. Well, they introduced him as a Ukrainian freedom fighter, which he was. And let me explain how that happened. I told you I was going to Rachel Maddow this, and here we go. Starts back with Peter the Great, and I promise it'll be Cliff's Notes. You slept through history class. I get that. It glazes your eyes over, but you're going to like this. I'm going to make this fast. It'll be Cliff's Notes version. 1700s. The capital of Moscow, or pardon me, of Russia, the Russian Empire at the time was Moscow. The rulers of the Russian Empire had been Muscovy or Muscovites. And, they were in charge. Peter the Great comes along and he says, we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to be Muscovites anymore. My family's European. We're moving the capital to St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg is up more towards where Finland is. It's much prettier. Moscow is not a pretty place, folks. It is not. Moscow, there are many beautiful European cities, but Moscow is not one of them. And I don't care how many times they show you pictures of the Kremlin. That's Muscovite. The Kremlin is Muscovite. Okay. Peter the Great moves the capital to St. Petersburg. That's the 1700s. Then we have 200 years of let them eat cake. The same stuff that started revolutions in the rest of Europe started revolutions in Russia. But in the meantime, You've got Peter the Great, and this is what boyars dressed like. That was the class below the princely class. They were considered to be royal, but not royal. Weird. But anyways, Peter the Great, first thing he does is says, we're going to be European, we're going to be provincial, we are going to be a modern country. This has to go. He eliminated the boyars class, and it was very common in public. This was common dress at the time. The long coats that went down to the calves or the ankles, the long flowing beards. That was very, very common at the time. What happened after Peter the Great was they said, we're not doing that anymore. We are going to be modern. We're going to be a modern society. We are. And Peter the Great ushered in this look, which is what European royals were dressing like. You notice the shorter coat, there's no beard, the mustache was mandatory. He insisted that his military officers dress this way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They would beat people. There are people that would go around gangs of thugs. If they saw somebody adhering to the old fashion, they would beat them up, hold them down. They would cut their coat off, and they would shave their beard off. Just hold them down in the street and do it. That went on for a couple hundred years. Then you had the October Revolution. Well, actually, you had a February Revolution first, and that's when Ukraine fought for its independence in 1917. Ukraine said, look, we're not doing this with Russia anymore. We are our own people. We're not Muscovites. We're not doing it. We may be Rus, we're Slavic, but we're not Muscovites. We're not doing it. We're our own people. And from February to October, they were. Then that October, you had the October Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution. The Finns said, we're out of here. They were a duchy of Russia at the time. That's when Finland won its independence. Ukraine said, we're independent too. We're not, these people are crazy. We're not part of these people. They just got this guy from Georgia named Joseph Stalin. He's murdering everybody. We're out of here. So you had a lot of people in Ukraine that were not with it, with the Soviets. They were fighting the Soviets. So when the Germans wanted to invade, when Operation Barbarossa happened, of course they went and recruited these people. They're on your side. You want to fight the Russians? They want to fight the Russians? Why not? So they created a division of Ukrainian volunteers. This guy was one of them. Yaroslav Herker was one of them. What's he doing in Canada? I mean, what's the guy doing in frickin' Canada? Why is there a Nazi in Canada? Well, during the Nuremberg, and this is, by the way, this is what free Ukraine looked like at the time before the Russians snatched it back up. And we've got, just to give you an idea, also, this is, for people that aren't the best in geography, this is Finland. You see Finland here. You see St. Petersburg here. That was the capital during Tsarist Russia. Beautiful city, by the way. This whole area is beautiful. Vladimir Putin has a house on a lake out here. And our European audience will confirm for you. I'm giving you the straight deal. I'm giving you the straight deal. So anyways, what is this guy doing in Canada? Well, they had the Nuremberg trials, and the Ukrainians were cleared. They didn't commit atrocities. Yeah, it was war. They destroyed villages and whatnot, but they didn't commit atrocities like the freaking SS did. They were part of the SS, but they were cleared. They were. The Canadians took another look at it in the 1980s and said, yeah, the Ukrainian First Division, the Waffen, the Galatian Division, the 14th Grenadier, Waffen SS were not responsible for atrocities. They were just soldiers in the war. They had their interests aligned. They were freedom fighters. They can come here. We're not gonna participate in Nazi hunts for these people, because these are not people that ran, camps. These aren't people that were that's not who these people were. They were just soldiers. So they got a pass. That's how this guy is 98 years old, living in frickin' Canada. And somebody introduces him to Anthony Rota as a Ukrainian freedom fighter, not a frickin' Nazi, as a Ukrainian freedom fighter. So he gets introduced at a speech that Zelensky's giving, and there is an immediate push. If you go, it's what's trending on XChan right now. If you go to here, let me just do a blank pull up of XChan. We'll go to what's trending. Ta-da! Share the screen with you. You'll see number one. They are really pushing this to the top, man. You'll see here, Waffen SS, Nazis. And then down here, the next story, ABC News, that'll be the next one. Trudeau and Zelensky. This is what you are going to hear from the right. Because it was a setup. It was a psyop. He wasn't introduced as a Nazi. I mean, when you heard that introduction, hey, Ukrainian freedom fighter, did Nazi cross your mind at all? No. But it was a serious screw up on part of the liberals in Canada. I'm when I'm trying to get, for instance, I'm trying to bring you Jasmine Crockett right now. I am. The amazing Jasmine Crockett. They have me, they're going to send me for a freaking colonoscopy before she shows up on my show. They are serious about their background check. By the way, if you people want to call Jasmine Crockett's office, she's the 30th district down here in Texas. She's amazing. When this impeachment inquiry happens, you want Jasmine Crockett on there. She's an attorney. She's brilliant. She's the one that just slapped down Marjorie Taylor Greene in the hearing not too long ago. Brilliant woman. I'm trying to get her on the show for you guys. Keep your fingers crossed. Call her office. Tell her you want to see her on my show. But yeah, they do background checks. They want to know who the hell I am, what I'm going to say, what's going on. What the hell happened with Trudeau and his government that they didn't do a background check on a guy they allowed to sit? And when Zelensky addresses parliament, and now Putin has his picture. Putin has his picture of here you go. This is the photograph that is everywhere, especially on the right wing. Everywhere. That's the picture. Everybody looking up glowingly, applauding. Zelensky with the clenched fist. Trudeau's clapping for a Nazi. And of course, Putin is like, oh, I told you. Yes, you did, Peter. Thanks for the support, buddy. Jasmine did a great smackdown on Bobert being. I'm trying really hard to get her on the show for you guys. With the impeachment inquiry heating up, I want to do everything I can to raise her profile. I want to do everything. She is one of the people we want fighting this. She is brilliant, guys. Super sharp, terrific attorney. She's amazing. I'm going to try to get her on the show. I really am. I am trying to get her on the show. Put it that way. So, anyways, yeah, what a stupid faux pas. What a stupid gaffe. Don't invite Nazis to your speeches. You know, Pavel Fuchs is an oligarch in Ukraine, and he was paid by the FSB to hire street gangs, kids, punks, to go all over Ukraine and paint swastikas on things to raise the profile of Nazi. You know, we got Nazis marching at freaking Disneyland. They didn't. They didn't. But to support this whole narrative that, oh, Russians, be afraid, the Nazis are back, they're taking over Ukraine, and I'm going to save the day. I go in and I'm going to liberate Ukraine from these Nazis, is what he was selling for the invasion. And then we had this gaffe, you know, stepping on our own toes, folks. But that's what you're going to hear about. You know me, I'll always give you the background. So when you hear about Trudeau was, you know, clapping for a Nazi, you know exactly what the whole story is. And that's what I always want to bring to you. I know history makes your eyes glaze over. It makes everybody's eyes glaze, unless you're one of these people like me that aren't quite right in the head and are just super, super into history and love all these nuances and love all these things that are going on. You know, it is just... Where'd you go, Silly Wonka? There you are. Great comment, my man. Silly Wonka, Slava Ukraine, Puck Putin. I can say that on the air. Oh. Petraja says Zelensky did nothing wrong. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I guarantee you I could play that clip again, and you yourself would have to admit, with the introduction this guy got, knowing nothing about the guy, nothing about his background, without the frickin' history lesson that I just gave you about where this first Ukrainian division comes from and who they were, and that they were once part of the Nazi SS, you would have stood up and clapped too. You would have. This was a psyop, folks. This is how they work. This is what they look like. I'm still trying to find out who introduced Yaroslav Hunka to Anthony Rota, the speaker that invited him. But I'm going to find out. Oh man, I tell you what. So yeah, you've got the Republicans that are in civil war amongst themselves, blowing themselves up, trying to shut our government down, in desperate straits, just one scandal after another. Boebert getting felt up in a theater. You've got Farty Mars that's again saying that she wants to attack Mexico when Mexico doesn't even import drugs into the United States. But hey, okay. Linda Blanton says, regardless of what he was or is, Russia had no right to invade a sovereign nation. What's it's okay if Putin invades Florida because we have Nazis too? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the whole point of what I was trying to show you with that, is that you can't take things out of context. You just can't. You know, the Canadians cleared. Yes, they were Nazis. Yes, they fought for Germany. Yes, they did. And that's freaking awful. Their interests aligned. They were freedom fighters in Ukraine that wanted to fight off the Soviets. Their interests aligned, but they did not engage in the atrocities that the freaking SS was condemned for. They didn't do it. It's been looked at over and over and over again. They didn't do it. The other thing that you're going to be seeing, like Craig, man, I hope your coffee's as good as, whoo, that is some good coffee this morning. The next thing you're going to be seeing, and they are pulling these graphs down fast as possible and moving to just the numbers, but I caught one that was still up. Here's that idiot Benny Johnson, the right-wing parrot. ABC Washington Post did a poll, And if you look on the right here, I hope you folks can see this okay. If you look on the right here, I'll read the numbers to you. They're a little difficult to read. I get it, but especially if you're on a phone. But the polling from last week has been what it's been pretty much, well, forever. We're not in an election period yet. So, and you know how polling's done. They call landlines way too much. The polling methodology is just broken. And most polls show it's a dead heat. You got Biden leading some by a couple points. You got Trump leading some by a couple points. You've got them dead even. And then all of a sudden you get this outlier. Okay. And it shows Trump beating Biden by 10 points, 52 to 42. And oh my God. Oh my God. ET, thanks for the comment, my friend. Thanks for the comment. Polls are so biased. They're broken right now because the methodology doesn't work. Back in the 70s, everybody had a landline. You could call somebody right around dinner time, be sure to get a family, and you could ask people questions and they would be a little bit more accurate. Well, sorry, since the introduction of these, people don't have landlines anymore. Then the people that do tend to be old people that skew very hard right Republican. These are people that still have AOL on their damn computer are answering these polls. Everybody knows they're not getting them right. And if you want proof that they know they're not getting them right, this is from the people that conducted that poll that was so frigadicky. Post ABC poll, Biden faces criticism on economy, immigration, and age. The same crap that I've been talking to you about. Instead of talking about what's really going on, instead of talking about, the C5+1 summit that was one of the most important things to happen in our modern era, a complete shift. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. We're going to go long today, folks. I'm sorry, we are. But if you look at this line right here that follows the headline, a finding that shows Trump leading Biden by a wide margin does not match other recent polls, however, suggesting it is an outlier. The people that conducted the poll are telling you, yeah, this ain't right. We didn't get this one right. We didn't. This one is out there. We know it, but if we don't report it, they'll accuse us of hiding it. And so we report all the polls, and this one's not right, people. The very people that conducted the poll is telling you it ain't right. But oh my God, the Republicans have started the QAnon conspiracy theories. It's just the press. It's just the press. They just try to keep us down, man. When we know we can show over and over and over again, every study shows the press has a right-wing bias. But no, it's the press trying to keep us down. They just don't want you to know the truth, man, because this one poll out of 100 shows Trump's leading, and that's the one that's true. Now they're trying to claim it's not a real poll, man. It's not a real poll. They're trying to say it. It's bullshit. It is. It's crap. It's crap. But you're going to hear it, and I wanted you to know about it before you hear it, so you know what they're talking about. When somebody says, did you hear Trump's beating Biden by 10 points? Because they're trying to get this bandwagon effect. It's an old ad game bandwagon effect. Everybody's doing it. So when that comes your way, you know what it is. When they say Justin Trudeau and the Canadians were applauding Nazis, now you know what it is. This is what I do, people. I tell you what's really going on. And what's really going on, this one me and Mrs. Texas Paul had a bet going on. Which one would be the idiot to do this first? Can y'all see that clearly? Yeah. I'm going to start out by saying I don't agree with what the Senate just did in relaxing the dress code. But we knew they would be idiots. And here comes Rand Paul showing up, sitting on the steps of the Capitol in a damn bathrobe, no shoes, just just underwear and a bathrobe, basically. Knew it was going to happen. Knew they were going to come up with bullshit like they're going to take your gas stove and Bud Light makes you gay and all the other crap that they say. No, the new guidelines don't allow for bathrobes in the Capitol. Fatima Lovato says, I love that name, by the way. Fatima, do you pronounce it Fatima or Fatima? Or no, I love that name. Lovato, these polls are fake as Trump. They are. They really are. Polling is deeply flawed right now. Don't believe polls that are telling you that you're winning everything, and definitely don't believe polls saying that you're losing everything. Just show the hell up to vote. Just show up to vote. But I want to go back on my dress code rant. Look, folks, and I caught a lot of hell from the left from this, and we can have differing opinions, but your opinion on this is wrong if you disagree with me. We have Lauren Boebert and that crap that she pulled in the theater. We've got Farty Marge putting revenge porn, literally naked pictures of the president's son's penis into congressional record. You know, we've got Republicans calling people up as witnesses that are being paid by political operatives to be there. Peter Campbell says, show up, do the work for the American people, wear what you want. See, I'm disagreeing here. And this is where I'm going to get to make my case, Peter. You could make your case also. I promise you, I will put your comment up if you've got a comment that's different than mine. But I'm telling you, that's wrong. This is one of our nation's highest institutions. It has to have standards. And it should be standards that are higher than most. At a time when we have, Anna Paulina Luna, she's claiming to be of Jewish heritage, which turns out to be a complete freaking lie. Why? Because she's running in a district that is one of the most highly concentrated districts for Jewish Americans in the state of Florida. Turns out her granddad wasn't Jewish. He was a Nazi. He was a Nazi. I mean, like fighting in, like Yaroslav Hunker. He was a Nazi, really, in uniform. But she's sitting there lying about everything. And George Santos, I mean, do I even have to start to list off the crap that George Santos has said? I mean, really? The standards are falling and falling and falling. When you have Ken Buck, that radical Republican, saying, you people have lost your minds. When you have Kevin McCarthy saying, man, we got people here that just want to burn the whole damn place down. That's Kevin McCarthy saying that. I can't control my caucus because, a third of it is people that just want to burn this whole place to the ground. The man said that to a camera. I mean, and you want to lower standards in Congress right now? I don't care if it is dress code. No, I think we need to be fighting as a people, as a group. We need to be raising standards in Congress on every front. We need to be demanding more background checks for candidates. We need to, if we can't make them pass a law to do it, we can do it within our own party. But yeah, I disagree with this. And yes, of course, the Republicans are going to beat it. Mrs. Texas Paul, for the record, she was calling on either Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene. She thought they would be the first ones to show up in like Daisy Dukes or tube tops or something. Turns out, no, Rand Paul just ran home and got himself a bathrobe. And that's who they are. That's who they are. Well, folks, that's all I've got for you today, but I would love to have a roundtable discussion on anything you got questions about or any segments that you would like to talk about, any comments that you have to make. Elizabeth Ritter says, why is Fetterman not dressing up? What is the reasoning behind it? I'll give you part of the reasoning. Senators make $174,000 a year. In DC, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. That is. But they've got a ton of travel that they have to do. If you really want your senator to go back to his district, he's got to go back to Pennsylvania. He's got to have a house for him and his family in Pennsylvania. Then he's got to try to have a house in DC. He never had a dress up wardrobe to begin with when we elected him. So he's going to have to go out and buy, a man's wardrobe. If you put in 5 or 10, 5 suits, 10 shirts, um, 3 pairs of shoes, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. And plus the fact that he is huge. What is he, 6'4", 6'5"? He's huge. He's got to get him made to fit. I mean, which makes him more expensive. So the justification behind it, to answer your question, is it's a lot of money he ain't got. It just is. There you go. Peter says he's 6'7". I couldn't remember what it was. He was 6'7". Jazzmaniac says he's 6'8". I think 6'7" was right. The guy is tall. I mean, really freaking tall. So the suits have to be custom made for him. Extra, extra, extra long. And it costs a lot of money. And he hadn't been showing up on the floor of Congress. He'd been in the hallways, and they raised a big stink about it. So Schumer thought it'd be a good idea to thumb his nose at the Republicans and say, okay, fine, we'll relax the dress code everywhere. You want to be stupid? You don't want to talk about the people's business. You want to talk about what's important. You want to do stupid stuff? Okay, we'll have a relaxed dress code. Suburban housewife says AOC has no money and she is chic AF. I agree with you that she is now. She wasn't when she got into Congress. Peter Campbell says, would love for you to cover separation of powers as it relates to oversight and SCOTUS. Yeah, here's the problem. You've got 3 branches of government, and you've got the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. SCOTUS is the top dogs in the judicial branch. They are gutting powers of the executive branch right now and taking those powers and handing them to the legislative branch. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong what they're doing. They literally just passed a bill. I did a show just on Friday. I'm doing a show on Fridays now, folks, by the way, talking about Clarence Thomas and all the trips he's taken with the Koch brothers and, the Koch group, not the Koch brothers anymore. One of them's dead. Yeah. But, while they've got legislation before the Supreme Court where for the Kochs, Clarence Thomas and the conservatives are gutting the EPA. Well, that's really happening, folks. It's really happening. Rich, it's great to hear from you again. Rich Lawton put a comment up. I'm digging for it, and I'm having a hard time finding it. He says, great shows, fellow Rapture survivor. You and the missus and fellow potheads have a great day. Go Packers. It is football Sunday, and I do apologize for going long, but we're going to go a little bit long. I mean, we haven't had a roundtable the last 2 shows because we went long. We're going to have a roundtable today. And yes, please make that phone call. 3 things. I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. 1, call Jasmine Crockett's office. She is super fantastic. I want her on the show. Tell her you'd like to hear from her. It'd be a great interview. I really want to hear what she has to say about the impeachment inquiry, and I want to raise her profile as much as possible. The other thing, hit the thumbs up button while you're thinking about it. Just reach down and hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. If you aren't already subscribed, it'll give you notifications whenever we've got a new live coming up. And yeah, we've added a show on Fridays. All right. Nanette Soda said Rand was wearing a pardon blanket. If you guys don't watch Tony, if you're not part of the Tony fam, and you don't follow Gabe Sanchez, Gabe has a great skit about the pardon blanket. You ought to see it sometime. It's funny as hell. Someone put a comment up. I'm looking for it. I want to post it for you. I can't find it. If someone finds it, go ahead and put it up. But they said he might be not wearing a suit because he's struggling from a stroke. That's actually not the case, though. I mean, good point. I love the comment, but really, to be honest with you, it's not the case. It's a financial thing. He's got a family. The guy was never rich to begin with. He's got to rent a place. And I'll give you another little bonus story here. Lauren Boebert. It comes out that she's leasing a place in DC for $2,000 a month in a neighborhood where that is the bare bottom of rent. She's leasing a place from a frickin' lobbyist who turned the bottom floor of their row house in DC in a neighborhood where the rents are from $2,000 to $7,000 a month. DC rent is astronomical. Kevin McCarthy is staying in Luntz's place. Frank Luntz. Yeah. You got this organization called The Family. It's a religious nutty organization. They give all kinds of senators free housing. Charge them bottom basement rent. John Fetterman isn't getting these favors. I keep telling you, we don't have these billionaire groups behind us. Somebody to go say, hey, John Fetterman, you want to rent a place? Bottom basement rent in this area is $2,000 a month. I'll rent it to you for $2,000. No, he's paying full price for his rent. And he's not a rich man. That's what this is all about. Lena Cruz says, hi, Texas Paul, any chance you could one day get Politics Girl on the show? I would love to have Lee McGowan on the show. She is brilliant. You know what? I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her if she can be on the show, because she has the best explanation for why that the debt ceiling is not only unconstitutional, but why it's not even relevant anymore, why it should be gone. I will definitely get in touch with Lee McGowan. Let me write that down. Email Lee McGowan. I love Politics Girl. I will ask her. For you folks, I will ask her. Y'all want to see Lee McGowan on? I will definitely ask her to come on and talk debt ceiling, because it's going to be very relevant over them. They should build a housing complex for U.S. reps. I have made the argument, and boy, I tell you what, I catch a lot of hell for this. Rather than do that, just pay them more. Just pay them more. I know $174,000 is a lot of money, folks. It is. In my area, that makes you top 1%. Where I live out in East Texas, that makes you top 1%. But no, in DC, it's not. In DC, you can pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year in rent. You can. I mean, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. That's a big chunk of your paycheck, talking 174 before taxes. McCarthy is worth about $100 million. Now, how do you think that these senators are getting that money? Because they get there and they can't afford the lifestyle or where they're living. And you've got all of these billionaire frat clubs, different organizations that are sticking their hands out, giving them cheap rent. And then they go to a party and they're, oh, by the way, this company's about to approve a drug. We're going to bring it before your committee to talk about it. That's why I'm telling you about it. And then the next thing you know, the senator, McCarthy's out buying drug stock before anybody else has any knowledge of it, before it shoots up. I mean, that's how these people end up with so much money. And I argue it's because we don't pay them enough to damn well begin with. And I know, feel free to disagree with me on that. I get that. Uh, oh, and by the way, if you don't know, the store is up and running perfectly. We got everything straightened out. I'm not a super tech guy. It takes me a while to get things right. But yeah, if you go to TexasPaulStore.com, it's there. Be careful of the Chinese knockoffs if you just Google it. Everything I do, yeah, y'all are gonna laugh. Y'all are gonna laugh. I did. I laughed hysterically at this. Um, there's pictures of me around in that shirt that I made for me and Laura. It's her shirt says I'm in charge of me, and then my shirt in big huge letters it says me. And we get so many compliments on that shirt. We do. Everybody laughing. It's being marketed as Texas Paul merch by a Chinese company. I had to laugh so freaking hard. Oh my God, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. I don't sell that shirt, by the way. Linda Blanton, they're getting to add rent to allowance in 2023 rules. Yeah, they are addressing it to a degree. They are. They really are. They also changed the rules. They, like we had one rep that was renting a place for $50 a night that went for $1,000 a night. They changed those rules. It has to be at least market rates, which is why Bobert is paying $2,000 a month instead of living free. There you go. If you got a question about thank you, ma'am. My wife is the best. She is. She's on it. Senator Menendez, thank you for bringing that up. I was going to do that on a later show as it percolated, but I will definitely address it now. Jill Lucas, what about Senator Menendez? Should he resign? Yes, he should. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, today, Senator Bob Menendez should resign from office. They have a guy that's flipped that said, I bribed Bob Menendez. I gave him envelopes of cash and gold bars. They raided Bob Menendez's house and they found envelopes of cash and gold bars in his closet. They did DNA and fingerprint tests on it. Bob Menendez and the guy that's bribing him, their fingerprints and their DNA are both on these envelopes and gold bars. This is not disputed. This is not, hey, let's wait till we find out, let the justice system work, yada, 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 yada. He's guilty. He is guilty. Resign. Bob Menendez, resign now. Jesse James says, I love gold. Yeah, everybody does, man. Everybody does. Miss Pam says, this is not the first time for Menendez. The first case actually was a weak case. And I was actually a little worried when they charged Menendez's wife. Typically, that is a strong arm tactic from a prosecutor that doesn't have a very strong case. We're going to put your family through this too. So cut a deal, or we're going to put your family through it too. In this case, it does not appear to be that at all. It looks like the prosecutors dotted their T's, dotted their I's, crossed their T's, dotted their T's. What the hell, man? If you've seen my handwriting, you understand that. Dotted their I's, crossed their T's. This is open and shut. This man is going to prison. He needs to resign now and throw himself on the mercy of the court. Because the lower end of the sentencing guidelines could mean this man never spends a day in jail. He needs to make that deal and walk away and get the hell out of DC, period. We're going to keep it going for a little while longer. Let's keep this roundtable going. Any questions you've got? Oh, Missy PA, Texas Paul. Why is President Biden's approval rating so flawed polling? And you don't have to love Joe Biden to vote for him. Thank you, Catherine. Sophicatus. I screw your name up. Sophicatus. Hearts and skulls, baby. Ride or die Dems. But to answer your question, why is this polling so low? And look at who's doing the polling. The groups that are doing the ABC, NBC, CBS, all of these people need this to be a horse race. There are billions of dollars. There will be $14 to $20 billion. We don't know spent on this next in the 2024 election. Most of it in ads, and all of the people doing the polling make money off the ads. It's got to be a horse race. I know every day. Let me see hearts and skulls of everybody in the comment who, if Joe Biden died the week before the election, would weekend in burning his ass and vote for him anyways as a dead man. I want to see those people in the comments. Would you vote for Joe Biden as a dead man? And while we're talking about that, two great things. Yes, shoot, the comment got away from me. They move so quickly. They got away from me. Yeah, President Biden has been a great president. Antonio sees look and says, absolutely, I'd vote for him as a dead man. Train a turtle, absolutely, I'd vote for him as a dead man. That's what people don't get. We're not a cult. We're not. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people out there that say, okay, Joe Biden's doing a good job, but I still want him to do this, or I still want him to do that. So they're not showing up in these polls as, I love Joe Biden. I love the man. No, they're not. They're not. They just don't show up in the approval ratings that way. They show up, and that man still has work to do. That's how they show up in the approval ratings. But when it's time to go into the box and pull the lever, that's why I keep laughing at these right wing. They're going to be popping that 10-point poll up like crazy. When they do, just tell them what I tell them. Go have another boat parade. Go have yourselves another boat parade. Can you imagine how messed up their heads were? But we had boat parades. We had a trucker convoy. Y'all didn't have none of that. How the hell did y'all get 81 million voters? Because we're not a cult. Because we're not a cult. Jeff says, what do you think about the Texas Department of Land Use? Buddy just got a job with them decent folk. I'll be honest with you. All of these institutions, Border Patrol, Customs and Border Patrol, you've got sections of it that are just horrible people there for the wrong reason. You got people that are there to do the job for all the right reasons. The same thing with the Bureau of Land Management and just all of these organizations, I mean, they can be decent. Your local police department can be a force for good. It can. And there's some people in it that are there to do the damn job. And then you've got these jerk offs that are there for all the wrong reasons, because they're haters, because they're violent, because they're, it's same thing, man. Same thing. Applaud them when they do good and rap them on the knuckles when they do bad. If you're talking about Jamie Raskin, I am a huge fan of Jamie Raskin, and you have to tell me which one is the latest comments over the impeachment inquiry. That was smoking good. Stephanie, B2, Joe has a running mate, and we know that we would be happy with Kamala. Let me tell you, Joe's age matters to right wingers because she's black. That's why. That's why. That's why they care about Joe's age. They are some biased, hateful people. And I am really glad to see, I've been one of the first ones to be really hard on Kamala Harris. she had a habit. She had a habit of talking smack, and when she would do it, she would get very nasally in the way she'd really talk out of her nose a lot when she'd do it. And she has worked on that tremendously, just tremendously. She stopped doing that, and she is much, much, much more personable. The more we see her, the more you see, they are great people. I've met her husband. I have hugged her husband. Okay. They are tremendously great people, super nice, wonderful people. They are. Doug Emhoff that man is super sweet. I mean, he's one of those people that's got one of those smiles that'll just light up a room. And she is too. She really is, but she doesn't come off that way. And she's really improved, and she's doing more. And the more we see her in public, that runway meeting with the little girl who said she wanted to be a Secret Service agent. Yes, let's have that 10,000 times over between now and the election. Don't run from Kamala Harris. Put her out there. Greg Watkins says, anything but a Republican, I would vote for Mickey Mouse. Exactly. I would vote for Mickey Mouse before I would vote for a Republican. Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. And Linda Blank, go back to your comment about the Dallas mayor. If you haven't heard, the mayor of Dallas flipped parties. He was elected as a Democrat and he flipped to Republican. And the reason he flipped to Republican is the Billionaire Frat Boys Club. Money. Wasn't ideology. It wasn't anything like that. It was money. And to me, that's fraud. That is, you have defrauded everybody that elected that supported your campaign. Exactly. They flooded that man with oil money. And you know what we need to do about it? Don't whine about it. Don't complain about it. Don't anything. Vote. Put that man out of a job and never elect him to anything ever again. Make him wear that around his neck, that stone around his neck for his entire life. Every office he runs for, oppose him and fund his candidate like no tomorrow. We're going to we're going to run opposition against him in the next election, and he will be voted out of office. I guarantee you. Keep that up there. Keep that up there, please. I'm finding you an image. I want you to know what this man looks like. Here we go. This is Eric Johnson, the turncoat trader jerk off that ran as a Democrat, was funded as a Democrat, and then took that sweet, sweet oil money and became a Republican. Never forget that man's face, ever, ever. Can you put that comment back up, please? Missy PA says, Texas Paul, Trump accuses General Milley of treasonous act as judge weighs possible limited gag order. How would the judge handle this situation? He did more than just accuse him of treasonous act. He said he should be executed. And the judge should absolutely, and again, these prosecutors are brilliant. They're seeking limited gag orders so as to not give him a reason to appeal. And I think that is wonderful. That is wonderful. The way they're doing that, they're not a blanket gag order. He could appeal. They say you infringed on my First Amendment rights when it was unnecessary. But the fact that he has called for the execution of the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, absolutely. This should give the judge latitude to expand that gag order. And you have to keep in mind, too. Thanks, Greg Watkins. Greg Watkins says, and by the way, Paul, weekend at Bernie's was hilarious. I'm telling you, I would weekend in Bernie, that guy. I would vote for Joe Biden as a dead man. I don't give a damn how old he is. But yeah, this gives that judge the latitude to expand that gag order. And the beautiful part about it is that applies in the documents case down in LA. That applies in the January 6th treason case in DC. That applies in the New York case. That applies in the Fonnie Willis's Georgia case. That applies in the state of New York case, because the gag order is universal. He just can't talk about it. He just can't do it. So it affects him in every one of his cases. So yeah, the prosecutors are just doing an amazing job. Hey, thanks for putting that up there. Y'all are the best audience. You really are. You take care of each other. You know what's going on. Jerry Tunnel says Cassidy Hutchinson will be on Rachel Maddow tonight. That would definitely be a good watch. I'm not very fond of these flippers because they are, she worked in the Trump White House for a reason, which is a red flag for me. That Daily Beast poll just came out that said watching Joe Rogan and being MAGA were red flags for most women. They don't date people that do that. For me, working for the Trump administration is a giant red flag for me. I am not a Cassidy Hutchinson fan. Thanks. I'm glad you agree with me, Jules. Too. She says exactly, Texas. And yeah, get another job. Laquia says people need jobs. Get another job. You don't have to work for a scumbag like Trump in DC. There are a lot of jobs. All of these nonprofits are hiring. There are other jobs to get. Bonnie Baxter says, vote blue down the ticket. Man, I'm having a good time today, folks. I don't want this to end, but we've only got a couple minutes left. I don't want to go 2 hours. So, plus the games are on, man. The football games are on today. So let's get a couple more good comments up there. Pam says, PL Pam says, I don't agree with her politics, but she is brave for telling the truth. That she absolutely is. I will give her that. And I believe she's credible. I don't think she's a liar. The way he tells her stories, the way she reacts, I believe her. But again, she's never going to be on my Christmas list, ever. All right. What else do we got? Pulling up some great comments today, by the way. All right. Somebody brings up Elizabeth Ritter. Flippers are just trying to dip into the swing votes. They will flip back. Okay. That's the thing. You have I was reading comments. There are several people that have left the Trump train in the Republican Party that were making comments about this Trump poll. And they were like, man, they're just trying to push Trump. It was a Q conspiracy. They're just trying to push Trump on us because they know if Trump's on the ticket, we get decimated in not just the next election, but the next couple elections. And they're trying to do this to us. Not kidding. Now we're trying to get Trump elected. But yeah, folks, it's the independents. It's the independents. It does not matter what Trump's base does. There just aren't enough of them. If you vote, we destroy them. It's the independents. It's the independents that we have to really garner and hold. And I will tell you, one of the most effective things, I'm telling you folks, I watch the political baseball from the inside, so you don't have to. Hawaii. This administration needs to get very loud about Hawaii, because what's happening in Maui is there's a breed of Democrat down there. Okay. And they're squeaky wheel Democrats. They don't march along with the Democratic Party, but they vote straight blue. They're very loud and boisterous about their complaints. They are. The right wing are taking these complaints, which are over the frickin' top, and they're running with them. And they're taking them to young people and saying, we're giving money to Ukraine, but we only gave $700 to Hawaiians. And they got burned to the ground. Why aren't we helping our own people? Why are we helping those damn Ukrainians? And they're all over college campuses with this nonsense. And of course, it's BS. That was just an emergency funding bill. There are unique challenges in Maui. If you lived in your grandmother's house and your grandmother's house burned down, which is the case for a lot of Hawaiians, they live in their parents' homes, their grandparents' homes, because real estate's really freaking expensive on Maui. It just is. They've been gentrified out of their own neighborhoods. But what do you do for somebody? I mean, I can't write you a check for your grandma's house. I can't. And most of the country doesn't want me to even write your grandma a check for. They want that to be, so many homes in Maui were underinsured. Buildings were underinsured because they weren't insuring them for the replacement cost. They were just insuring them at an old appraisal, and they can't build for that anymore. They can't replace what they lost. I mean, these are real challenges in Hawaii. A lot of people that live there didn't live in homes that they owned. Other people owned them. A lot of people that have been unhoused there are unhoused because they underpaid their insurance, and their insurance won't replace what they lost, which is going to make the gentrification worse because all of those burned out lots, they're going to be bought up by rich people and corporations. They are. That's capitalism, folks. It's going to happen. And they're going to blame Biden for it. They're already doing it. And it resonates with young people. We've got to get ahead of this. We've got to have the Biden administration doing something on these insurance reforms. And yeah, we've got to have bailout bills for people that actually own property in Maui, that lost property. We're going to have to help them out, folks. We do. Anyways, it is, Cheryl Clark. It is, and it's not just Hawaii. It's every tropical island, every island near the equator. Um, she's the same thing. It's just beautiful. The weather's temperate. You get wealthy people. And the islands that are more towards China, you get wealthy Chinese people that are buying up the islands, wealthy Australians that are buying up the islands. Um, the Seychelles by Africa, the UK floods the Seychelles, and the people that originally lived there are priced out of the market. It happens in every one of these island chains. That's capitalism. Puerto Rico is beautiful, my friends. Puerto Rico is beautiful. I love Puerto Rico. We're going to go back very soon. We are. Um, it doesn't, there's a language barrier there that keeps a lot of people out. Puerto Rico, back in the last century had a big crime problem. San Juan's a very cosmopolitan city now, folks. It is beautiful. Me and Mrs. Texas Paul were walking around the streets of San Juan. No problem. No problem. It's a beautiful place. I highly recommend if you want a vacation to a really beautiful place to visit that will not cost you like a Hawaiian vacation, go to Puerto Rico. Go to Puerto Rico. It is. Catherine, I'm telling you, I love you folks. If you want a vacation, catch you a cruise that goes through Puerto Rico or just go to Puerto Rico. It is beautiful. I've got pictures there that are just amazing. Just amazing. Uh, that's a problem. That comment you just had up, I didn't get a chance to read it before you took it down. Um, yeah, that's a problem. Maui wants privacy and doesn't want to be bombarded with media. Okay, then what? If you don't get your story out and you don't explain to people, most people are decent. Most people are just decent, good people. If you don't tell them what's going on, they don't know. They don't know how the people of Maui are getting hurt so bad. They don't know that the cost of living there has been so freaking high that multiple generations have lived in their grandparents' home for the longest time. When that home burned down, it wasn't just grandma that lost her home, it was dad and mom, and they don't know. And the government can't really just, I'm sorry, if you're a grown ass adult and you were living in a house that belonged to someone else, the government can't fix that for you. So we got to do something. And Hawaii is literally the most expensive state in the country to live in. It's got the highest cost of living. Foggy Ozark, I agree with you so much. I'm going to disagree with you on this one. Oprah bought real estate that wasn't built on top of a hill. She didn't take anybody's house. She didn't, I'm not a huge Oprah fan. Don't get me wrong. Um, you know, but damn, when it first happened, she was there making sure shelters had plenty of shampoo and soap and uh, pillowcases and whatnot. And she owns 1,000 acres on Maui, but she didn't take it from anybody. That was undeveloped land she bought. Well, folks, we are running a bit long here, and I have just enjoyed it. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm loving this conversation we're having. Um, and we need to talk about Maui. We need to talk about other things. These right wingers are really. If you watch shorts on YouTube, they are constantly. You get these bros that don't understand the situation. They don't understand anything, and they make blanket statements that are just BS. Like, we're funding Ukraine, and because we're funding Ukraine, we're screwing Maui. Like, we couldn't just print the money. I mean, if the money wasn't there, which it is, if we just tax billionaires at even a half-ass decent rate, the money's there. We find the money for everything else. It's not like we can't, walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. Well, folks, it was great talking to you again today. I want you to have a wonderful Sunday. It is so nice out there right now. It's a little bit, we got warmed up a little bit here, but I'm sure, it is much better than summer was. We are through the fall equinox. Nothing but good times. Football's here. Nothing but cooler weather ahead. Pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie. Quick poll in the chat: sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie? I want to know. I love both, but it's a great time of year. Let's see it in the chat. What is your pie?